Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, in this video series I plan to talk about my journey experiences to getting a sub 3 hour marathon, which I plan to attempt this year in the 2023 Sydney Marathon in September. But yeah, before I talk about that, I want to quickly talk about my history of the marathon so far. I've actually done about 3 marathons already. The first one, I'm just going to quickly look through my data. The first marathon I did was in May 2021 and I started training for that in January 2021. So what I did was I went online, looked up like marathon training programs, and at the time I was wearing like, I'm still wearing Garmin watch today, but at the time I was looking up like what the watch or what Garmin had to offer for like training programs. So I went online, looked up the Garmin Connect web interface, and then I saw some marathon training programs, right? So I saw like beginner level, intermediate level, and then advanced level. I was like, kind of intermediate, I guess. I don't know. At that point I've run for about 11 months and 1800 kilometers, so I was like, maybe I'm intermediate. So what I did was I chose the intermediate program, but for whatever reason I chose the heart rate based program. So it kind of like made me limit my mileage. I had to like run really slow a lot of times to keep my heart rate below a certain point. With that training program I did it for 16 weeks, ran about 5 times a week, had an average weekly mileage of around 50 kilometers I guess, and then it peaked at around 55 kilometers. And then the course, the race course itself, I just designed it myself. It was kind of crazy, from Bankstown I ran all the way to like Georges Hall, and Georges Hall to Parramatta to like Rhodes, then Rhodes back to like Olympic Park, and try to make my way back home. It was a bit crazy. Yeah, in that marathon I ran 4.5 hours around there. It was okay, but as a first experience it wasn't too bad. I did have some gels and stuff and some water which I carried during the race. Yeah, but then my second marathon, which I tried to take a bit more seriously, that was the 2021 Sydney Marathon. So after that first random marathon, what I did was I signed up for the 2021 Sydney Marathon, started training in the same month, like May as well, 4 months, and all the way to September 2021, which is the race day of the 21 Sydney Marathon, right? So yeah, sorry, before I started training for that marathon, I had around 15 months of running experience at that point, which is around 2700 kilometers for me. And yeah, I did the same training program basically. I went into Garmin Connect, looked up the training program. I was like, oh crap, I'm still kind of intermediate. So did the exact same program, but this time it wasn't heart rate based. It was more like the traditional time based or distance based program. So yeah, in that program I did around 55 kilometers average, sustained average mileage I guess, and then peaked around 60 kilometers per week. And then for that one I got 3 hours 44, but because that year we had like COVID lockdowns and stuff, the race didn't really occur. So I just did like a little backyard marathon, like little loops around this netball court, and then I got like around 3 hours 44 for that one. So my third marathon was the 2022 Sydney Marathon. It was basically was postponed on 2021, right, due to COVID. So they carried over my registration. I was like, okay, this time I'm gonna take it quite seriously, and then again I went on Garmin Connect. I then looked up the programs. This time I chose the advanced program, which was like made you run 7 times a week, and sometimes there were doubles too, which was a bit crazy. But yeah, I started again in May 2022, trained all the way to September 2022, ran like around 70 kilometers average a week, peaked around 80 kilometers a week I think. And before I started training in May 2022 I had like around 2 years and 3 months of running experience and about 5,000 kilometers worth of like mileage under my belt. And in that race I got 3 hours 29 minutes, and it wasn't the best experience because that was my first actual race in the city, actual race at all basically, and that was quite fun. I did cramp both my quads with like 12 k's to go, which kind of sucked, but whatever, I still finished and it was fun. So this year it's gonna be the same marathon again, Sydney Marathon 2023. But the reason why I chose it because after I finished the 2022 Sydney Marathon, they emailed out some discount codes for next year registrations, and I was like, oh crap, this is $40, might as well sign up for it, and then yeah, here I am again trying to like race the same race I guess, trying to redeem myself from last year, and hopefully this year I'll get under sub 3 hours. That's the aim of the game, right? At this point I have like around 7,700 kilometers of running mileage under my belt and have run for about 3 years and 3 months at this point. I'll quickly go through my personal best right now, like my PBs right now. My 5k PB is like around 80 minutes, which I got at the 2023 Sydney 10 event, which is like a little 10k event in Sydney Olympic Park like earlier this month. My 10k PB is around 36:58. My half marathon was from last year, which was a little time trial I did during my marathon training block for the 22 Sydney Marathon, and that was like around 1:27. So that was like in August last year. And then of course my marathon PB right now is around 3 hours 29 minutes from last year in September. So you plug in my recent race, I guess, the Sydney 10, into like some calculators, and it says, you know, there's equivalent of like around 1:21 half marathon or a 2:50 marathon, right? So that's pretty much like my actual goal. It's not, yes, I want to get sub 3 hours, but I think I'm gonna push for like around 2 hours 50 as a finish time, maybe 2 hours 48 if I'm really crazy. But yeah, I'm actually gonna like give it a proper shot this time, and yeah, like really train hard for it, and hopefully smash the 3:29 PB that I had from last year. So in regards to training for the 2023 Sydney Marathon, this time I'm not going to use the Garmin Connect programs. I guess it's because I didn't really learn much from the programs itself. Yes, it was laid out pretty well, you know, it connects to your watch and like you sync and all that kind of stuff, but I didn't really read much, or I don't really understand the reason behind the tempo runs or the long runs or that kind of stuff. So, you know, this year I've been reading a bit more about running, and I've read the Pete Fitzinger's Advanced Marathoning book. The guy is a pretty well-established coach and runner in the running world. So yeah, so decided to use his book for like my training programming, I guess, and like a bit about the running philosophies and stuff, and like the training schedules, all that kind of stuff. I decided to choose the 1870 program, which is like an 18-week program that peaks like around 70 miles basically, which is like around 113 kilometers a week, right? Yeah, it starts at like 87 kilometers and progressively peaks like around 70 miles, which is pretty crazy. It's not too far from my max ever mileage. My max ever weekly mileage is like around 95 kilometers. I don't really do that much mileage, but I've been ramping up and like, you know, gonna give it a serious shot this time. So yeah, so the 18-week training program has 4 training blocks. The first one is endurance, which runs for 6 weeks. The second block is the lactate threshold plus endurance block, I guess, for 5 weeks. And then there's race preparation for 4 weeks, and finally there's the taper and the race block for 3 weeks, all the way up to the race. Yeah, so I've already done the first week of it. I'll pretty much do a little recap of week 1, which is, you know, 15th of May to 21st of May this year, which is the endurance training block, right? So on Monday it calls for like a rest or cross training. I just opted for rest, but that's because, I mean, I usually rest on Mondays too, but like, you know, last Sunday and Monday, I think I had a stomach bug or something, or stomach flu, and I wasn't feeling really well, so I just took Sunday off and Monday off. Yeah, so Tuesday called for a 14k run with 6k's of lactate threshold pace in between. Did like 4k's of warm up, 6k's of the LT pace, and then 4k's of cool down, right? And then that didn't go that well because I was still recovering from my stomach flu from 2 days before, right? Yeah, not a good idea. Shouldn't have pushed that hard, but yeah, oh well. Wednesday it's a 18k medium long run, which I did at Georges Hall, Lake Gilawana. That's a place where I used to train heaps for my long runs. And out of nostalgia, I felt like revisiting or redoing my long runs there again, and I realized why I stopped doing it, because it's just so much traffic to get there. The whole place is really nice to run at, but like just the 6k's from my house to get there, it's not a great commute run. Yeah, I'll probably won't do my long runs there much again. It just doesn't feel great. Yeah, out of nostalgia, I liked it, but like for this training block, I'm gonna take it seriously, so I'm not gonna do my long runs there, and yeah, I'll probably do Olympic Park instead. Yeah, 18k's felt easy, no troubles, just too much starting and stopping, which doesn't really do you any favors, right? Yeah, and then Thursday was 8k recovery run, and then the book calls for like running on softer surfaces, like to like have a bit more recovery on your feet, I guess. Like rather than running on the roads all the time, why not run on the grass or something, or the sand, I guess. So I chose to run on the grass. So there's like a little sports complex near my house. It's like a massive grass field, so I just did 8k's of running on there. I don't really run on grass that much, but it felt kind of nice, you know. It's like a nice break from running on the ground all the time. It just felt like a nice break, I guess. So yeah, 8k's of recovery went okay. And then Friday calls for a 14k general aerobic run, which I did at Salt Pan Creek. Yeah, just a bit of trails, not too slow, not too fast, but yeah, it went okay too. Saturday was again 8k recovery, did on the same grass course as well. Went fine, but it's just very cold these days in the morning, so yeah, I'll probably need to wear gloves or something. My hands are frozen on Saturday. Yeah, so Sunday was a 24k medium long run. That went okay, I guess. Did it from Parramatta to Olympic Park to Rhodes, again, then to Parramatta. It's like a massive loop there. Went okay, but I feel like my Brooks Glycerin aren't really holding up that well for long runs. Like, yes, I can still do it. I can still do my long runs just fine in it, but I feel like I had to push a bit more just like to stay in a nice pace. I'm starting to be a bit worried about my glycerins. I don't know, they're kind of old. They're showing its age, but I just want a proper long run shoe that's a bit more like, you know, solid for my long runs, because in this program there's gonna be a bunch of long runs which I need to cover. So yeah, I'm gonna need new shoes for that. So I have ordered a new long run shoe, the Saucony Triumph 20s. I'm not really sure how it's gonna go. I'll see how it goes when I receive it, but I'm gonna start changing my shoe rotation a bit. So I plan to keep my Endorphin Speed freeze for like lactate threshold runs, or like proper long runs with marathon pace involved, I guess. I'll probably reserve my Brooks Glycerin for recovery runs, or anything that, I guess, general aerobic runs down the trails and stuff, or just like on the grasses. And then whatever new long run shoe I get, which is hopefully the Saucony Triumph 20s, yeah, I'll keep it for long runs. And yeah, hopefully that'll be something to do, but I can eat up the miles, I guess. Yeah, we'll see how it goes, right? I'm not really sure. Like, as it stands, I'm still aiming for like around 250 finish time of a marathon. You know, I'm hopefully gonna get fitter and fitter, right? So it doesn't seem too unrealistic. The aim of the game is still sub 3 hour marathon, but 250 is on site, I guess. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.